So I just realized that I've never told y'all the story of how I started writing. And I'm just hanging out here chatting, nothing fancy about this, but when I was a little kid, I loved storytelling. I would have my siblings perform plays for my parents and stuff like that. And when I got older, my aunt, who had like a fancy job, gave us her hand me down computer that she didn't need from work anymore. And I started typing stories on that. The first one I did was like a rip-off of Disney's The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. And then I wrote more and more, and I just kept writing. I always loved it. I always volunteered for writing projects. Like if someone needed someone to write something for the newspaper, I would write that. I loved my English classes, like the writing part, not the reading part, because I didn't like people who thought you had to make symbolism out of stuff. So I did all of that. My senior year in high school, I was in the gifted and talented program, and I had an extra hour in my day when I could do like independent study. And I said, can I please use this hour to work on my writing? And they said, yes, you won't get any credit for it, like towards a class or anything. But you can do it. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I spent an hour every day working on writing. And even though I loved it, I kind of thought that being a writer was like being in the NBA, like very rare, only the best of the best get there. And I just didn't see how that could happen for me. So I decided to follow another love and study agriculture and animals in college with the hopes of becoming a large animal veterinarian. But as I went through college, I was doing my classes, I was doing well in my classes. I went and studied abroad, and it was a really transformative experience for me. While we were abroad, we studied in the Czech Republic. I kept a blog, and I posted blogs every week, sometimes every day, about all the places my husband and I went. And it was meant to be a way to keep in touch with our family, since we knew we wouldn't be able to like talk to all of them all the time about all the cool things we were doing. But I just loved writing, and when I got back to the US after studying, I was like, I love agriculture and everything, but like that's not it for me. I want to do something different. I went and asked the college like if I could major in creative writing, and it would have added an extra 2 years to my program, and I was going to graduate in a year. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. If I need a degree for something, I will get a graduate degree. And I ended up like bouncing around. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I still had that doubt, like, oh, can I actually make money writing books? So I eventually said, well, I really want to make a difference in people's lives. And so I said, I'm going to be a nurse. I got into Johns Hopkins to study nursing and eventually get my Master's of Science in Nursing so I could be a nurse practitioner. I got into Johns Hopkins, and I got into Vanderbilt, and I accepted a spot at Vanderbilt. My husband and I moved to Nashville, and I went through orientation, and there was just like a deep feeling in my gut that said, like, no, this isn't right for you. Okay, and the background of all of this happening after I graduated college with a degree in animal sciences and industry, I had asked my grandma if I could interview her and tell her life story, because I loved writing about people and telling their stories. And so I interviewed my grandma. It was a really special experience for me. And come to find out, she had cancer. And I spent a lot of that summer before I went to Nashville with my grandma in and out of the hospital, and worked on her story. It was hard for me to get into it because I was like, it kind of felt like saying goodbye to her. But I wrote it in Nashville whenever I was going through orientation, because I was like, there's something about this writing thing that I can't get away from. And so I wrote it, and I sent it, and my aunt read it to her. And then when she was done reading it, my grandma called me, and she said, I don't want to cry. She said, "You're a writer, Kelsey." And she said, "I've never felt so seen." in my life, and it was the first time that I had felt like my writing was a real service to someone. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do this nursing thing, not right now. I'm gonna see what I can do, see if I can get a job. So I started applying for all these jobs, writing at magazines and stuff like that. Like literally anything I could see where I could get some writing experience, I applied. Rejected. Started working in data entry at an accidental death and dismemberment company. That was horrible. All the while editing my first book, which ended up being Chasing Sky, and listening to podcasts and trying to figure out what my journey would be in this. All the jobs that I was applying for and getting rejected to in writing were like requesting that I had a degree in that. And so since I had a degree in animal science, I was like, there's no way anyone's going to let me into a program that's for creative writing, like a master's for creative writing. So I got into a program for agricultural communications in Oklahoma, and moved there and kept writing and listening to podcasts and trying to write and make it work. And eventually that got me to where I am today. So that is my history as a writer.